Madonnas or models, walking in the street or working in offices, mothers or movie stars. Italian women have many faces except one, the face of power. It's a similar story in most European countries where women are in a minority in the political elite. In the Italian parliament, women only have 1 seat in 5, below the already low European average. In April last year, Federica Mogherini was elected for the first time, but her problems really began that November.
In a nutshell, I had a problematic pregnancy, so my doctor told me to stay at home and I lost the baby. My absence was criticized and some said pregnant women should resign from parliament because they can't do their job.
This centre-left MP doesn't think that the barbs were macho swipes, but more evidence of a general exasperation with the political elite. The real problem, she says, is one of attitudes.
Italian culture means it's all too easy for a woman to stay at home with the children. It's accepted and actively encouraged. That's the problem.
At the other end of the scale, Denmark's Hanne Dahl took her baby into the European Parliament.
Children don't even have the right to enter the Italian Parliament. I wasn't able to show my daughter where her mother worked.
With her 4-year-old daughter, Mogherini is one of the rare young MPs with a child. And the problems of juggling a career with the demands of a family is the main obstacle keeping women from power. But what's really difficult is obtaining real power in jobs that really count.
Sono stata consigliere alla provincia di Roma quando avevo 21 anni.
I was a local councillor in Rome when I was 21. In local administration, we have commissions for elected women, but what are they? They're public works commissions, school commissions, etc. But what does the elected women's commission do? Well, all the elected women sit on it, and it's as if we're being told to do your own thing amongst yourselves, and we'll do all the serious stuff. But I don't want to be in a women's commission. I want to take part in public works.
Last year, Giorgia Meloni became, aged 31, the youngest minister in the history of the Italian Republic. Aged 15, she became an activist on the right, and she was elected aged 29. She was the youngest deputy president of parliament and earned cross-party respect.
I've often heard, why do we have to be super competent when so many men MPs are mediocre? If there are so many poor quality men MPs, we should get rid of them, not add poor quality female MPs.
The approaching European elections will be a test of women's desire to take part as electors and candidates. In Europe, women have always voted less than men, but drew level in 2004. And now?
I've always voted, but this time I don't know.
Of course I'll vote.
We're disillusioned. We're not interested in politics.
The latest Eurobarometer opinion poll says 41% of women are interested in the European elections, compared to 48% of men.
I know many women who know nothing about politics.
In fact, I think women are more interested in politics.
Men are afraid of women, that's the reality.
Europe was founded in Rome in 1957 and founded exclusively by men. It was only later women found a role. Now we need to look beyond the Italian horizon, says Senate Deputy President Emma Bonino.
No one's going to make things easy for you. There are some countries where political equality is a question of policy, countries with a culture like ours, like Spain. In 5 years, Spain has completely transformed the political landscape. By making it a priority, it proves that if we want real change, it's possible.
Bonino was elected for the first time in 1976 and entered the European Parliament 3 years later. She's always been a defender of women's rights, but is interested in other things too. Most recently, she went on hunger strike to decriminalise euthanasia. A few months ago, she was asked the sort of question that's never asked of men. What did you have to sacrifice in your private life?
I couldn't help myself. I let rip and made fun of the question by saying, you know, I'm happy, I'm even in love. You should have seen the reaction. Full pages in Repubblica, El Corriere, unprecedented. I was tempted to keep it up for a few days, and I'm sure I would have been invited on morning TV with the title Love at 60, Ideas and Perspectives. But then I dropped it.
Equality in Italy is still a long way off, but the rest of Europe is still in a similar contradictory position. Over half of the population is female, but on average, only 24% of MPs are, and it's the same story for ministerial portfolios. It's a gaping democratic gap and needs to be corrected with every available tool, according to the European Women's Lobby based in Brussels.
You always hear about the EU's lack of legitimacy, but we think that if women were to see their representation increased, they would also become more interested and politically engaged.
Sweden, with a 46% female parliament, and Romania with 10 are the two extremes. France and Britain are about 18 each, and the European Parliament is 31%. This is why the lobby is campaigning to get the vote out with the support of 200 European personalities. The economic crisis is opening up new prospects.
In our opinion, the economic crisis is a time to question the way the economy is run. In some way, it signals the failure of a very masculine system.
One mathematical model suggests that, taking political rotation into account, if at every election 1 in 2 seats were won by women, it would take at least 20 years for equality to be achieved in Europe. By then, Gauri Kandikar will be 44. She's at the European College in Brussels, the place for European political studies, and she's always been ambitious.
I remember when I was small, my grandmother said, and I said, oh yeah, I want to be the Prime Minister of India, and then she said, politics is a dirty game.
Aisling McNeiff is Irish and wrote her thesis on women in politics. She's convinced things are a lot harder for them.
For a job, it's okay, but I think if you're running for election, if you're running for office, I think it's more difficult. Even if people don't accept it, they sometimes vote for a man quicker than a woman.
For me, this thing of stereotypes, it just seems like something which sticks to Indian villages. I can't see it in Europe.
I don't agree. I don't think that's really true. For example, in France, when Ségolène Royal was running to be president, her running mate asked, qui va garder les enfants? Who's going to mind the children? I think there are double standards. You'd never ask a man that.
From my perspective, if a woman really wants to become a politician here, she can do it. I don't see anything that's stopping her.
If there's any hope, it's that at the moment women are racing ahead in education. Today, 60% of university qualifications in Europe are earned by women.